Hi everyone. This video is going to be a little bit different because it's kind of like what I believe the world should be like, and the way you perceive the world as a child. Obviously, we all have different perspectives because where we're brought up is a different environment to where somebody else is brought up. But I thought I would give you a little insight into my perspective of the world when I was growing up and what I think the world should be like where I live in my environment. Obviously, the world should be there should be no borders, should be no nothing what we say it is. And obviously, I was brought up. I'm from England. I'm British, so I'm well. I prefer to be called English, really, but yeah, I'm British, and England is definitely my home. But I want people to understand that I'm not coming from a patriotic point of view of racists, all these people like Tommy Robinson supporters or anything like that. Nothing like that at all. But what I want you to do is to get an insight into what England should be, as how I was brought up because I was brought up in the countryside. I was brought up in a village. So my perspective of childhood, I was quite lucky in some ways to be brought up in that environment, to get to notice nature and stuff and get close to nature. Anyway, I don't know if any of you guys, especially in the UK, maybe even in America and other places as well, or Australia, have you ever heard of a book called Wind in the Willows? Well, yes, I used to get this read to me by my nana. I used to go stay with my grandparents a lot. Loved my grandparents. And they used to read me Wind in the Willows, and I watched the movie Wind in the Willows. So, Wind in the Willows, it showed a group of animals on a stream. I remember being on a stream. I didn't know the story. I remember it was about a toad. But it was about a toad, and it was a naughty toad, and he got into trouble a lot. But it was quite a nice movie. It was a very, should I say, relaxing movie. But it's basically about being in the countryside, and it shows streams, cottages, and having picnics, and it just got you close to animals. And obviously, I grew up in Lincolnshire, which was it was quite a flat county. It was the hills weren't that big and everything. It's beautiful, and I used to just love going in the fields with my friends, and we used to like just walk down the stream. We used to even go in a stream because there was a stream in the village we lived in, and it was really nice. And I used to climb up trees and all sorts of stuff. And that was my life. That was the English countryside. And I think the way people in this world view the English is like London, and I don't think cities are natural. I really don't. I think we've been indoctrinated to believe that it's normal to live in a very big city full of lots of crowded areas. Living in somewhere like this, I don't think it's natural to live in all these buildings. Once upon a time was not here at all, 100 years ago. All these high-rise skyscrapers you see all over the world, especially in places like Brazil and China, they're not natural. They've got everyone closed in together. Even celebrities and rich people get clamped in together with just ordinary people like ourselves, and they're like battery hens, and it's not natural. I don't think big metropolises are natural. We shouldn't be all crammed into a big city. I, I think there's enough space around this world to spread us all out in different small villages and towns and little communities. I think that's how it should be, and that's how England definitely should be. And I'm going to show you something. That's how I view England. That's when I was a kid. That's how I viewed England. That's how England should be viewed, and Britain, and even the world. No matter every part of the world is different, of course, and I bet you the identities have been stolen all over the world. It's been hijacked. So whatever you think about a country and their culture has been hijacked by parasites that are running those countries, and the stereotypes I think are fake. The stereotypes are not the actual stereotypes that we should be seeing in different parts of the world. And even forget about countries and borders altogether. I don't agree with countries and borders. I agree that you should be able to roam the world at your own pace. And, you know, this is how I view anyway. This was my childhood view of the world. I'm getting you an insight into it. So you had we did live in an old house, old small house, and I used to visit my grandparents, and I used to go for tea. I stayed there, and all that. I suppose yeah, you do like your tea and everything, but we used to swim in the river. We used to climb trees, walk down paths, go out into the fields. You know, there was a lot of farmland around. We even used to like feed the horses and all sorts of stuff. It was really nice, and it's quite flat area of land where we lived. It wasn't hilly at all. There was barely any mountains. It was just relaxing and nice, and that was my view of my world around me. That was what it was, and in a way, for a long time, I didn't go to any big city really. The nearest big city to us really was Leeds, I think, which was one of my first cities I went to, and I was quite overwhelmed by the place, to be honest with you. I've been there quite a lot now, recently, now I do go there quite often, to be honest. I've got family that live there, but it's it's quite overwhelming, and it's just now I do not view, this is the stuff I miss. I mean, I live in a town now. I don't even live in a village. I live in a town, which a town to me, the size of a city. I mean, what cities were are now size of town. What towns were villages, I think, and cities were towns, but there weren't many cities, if you know what I mean. Now you've got metropolises the size of a population, the size of a country. It's like, for example, Tokyo has more people than Canada in the metropolis area, in the metropolitan area. And that's not natural. It's not natural to have for people to be crammed into cities, and they want to get everyone in the smart cities, don't they? And and it's a materialistic world, and this is the stuff we're getting driven away from, guys. This picture, I want you to look at it. The trees, the streams, the rivers, the lakes, the hills, the animals nearby, the plants, the natural stuff, even the insects and the grass, things that I used to just always be out in when I was a kid, all the time. And I'm not even that old, but I still remember all this. Yes, I had a computer. Yes, and it's good to have a computer and something to connect with your family and your friends that live a distant away. But it's been overused. This is the stuff they're driving us away from. Can you not see it? Would you rather live here or here? Does this look natural? Where's natural in this? Is there any natural stuff in this? Even the river, is that natural? There's nothing natural in this at all. It's all man-made. Whatever you want to believe in, God, the creator, made this world for, right? There's no natural, look at this. Look all these horrible tower blocks that people are living in. And it's just going to get worse. It's going to get more insane. They're going to build more skyscrapers. And this is happening all over the world, where people are moving from the countryside to the cities like magnets, because that's what the elite want. And they're going to steal anything that was natural, to what we once had, and turn it into things unnatural by saying, oh yeah, but we'll create the city parks, the country parks, make it look beautiful again, but it's all man-made. You'll have the paths and it'll be full, it'll be busy. I think I actually, you might not agree with me, and you don't have to, but I actually think that you could spread a whole population out into the countryside and have little communities all over the countryside, and it won't be overcrowded, it won't be overwhelmed. There's so much space of countryside all over the world. Even in the UK, it's supposed to be over 60 million people. I actually believe that the Anglos came from, I think it was Germany, wasn't it? You had the Anglo area of Germany, and it's a Germanic language, English. And I believe that there was a tribe, like what you get in Brazil, the Brazilian tribes, or the Amazon tribes. I believe there were tribes, and it's probably all the same all over the world, and they were just wiped off the map. But I believe there were tribes in England. before the Normans came, before the Anglo-Saxons came and the Romans. And I think they wiped out the indigenous people of this country that were once here, who lived in peace, in small little communities, living in the countryside, growing their own food. This is not natural. Cities are not natural, of course. They're man-made, but we've been to believe that they're normal. They're just packing people into tiny battery hens all over the world. And it's just going to get crazier, and it's going to get more. The buildings are getting smaller, houses are getting smaller, as they cram more people in, and obviously they're getting more expensive. This is what I believe the world should be like. It just reminds me of Wind in the Willows, being in the countryside and everything. Boop, boop. Now, Toad. Boop, boop. Just a stupid little kids' film, really, but I used to watch it, and it shows animals. I think living in the countryside and going on picnics and stuff. I just remember that stuff. Interesting. But yeah, this is the stuff I miss. I haven't been around this environment for a long time now, and I do miss it. My grandparents used to live near me. Now they live in Wales. They do actually live in the countryside, which is good. It's not the same countryside I was brought up with. But obviously, I do agree. I do personally think you should take pride in the environment you're from, always, and show it off to people. Obviously, I need people to understand this. I'm not being patriotic like the English Defence League and stuff like that. Oh, this is our country. No, I think you're welcome to roam this earth. Everyone is welcome to roam this earth, because that's how God made it, for people to explore. And I would welcome many people to show off the environment I was brought up in. I think countries were created as well. I don't think countries and empires and stuff were natural. I think once upon a time that it just didn't exist. It's just people just went everywhere. Of course, it's a little bit different in Britain because it's an island, so it's kind of separate. So probably that definition was more defined. But stuff like England, Scotland, and Wales, once upon a time there was no border. It's just a human concept, innit? It's a human concept. So much more I could talk about, but of course soon I'm going to do well. When I've uploaded this video, I would have already done the live, but at this moment in time, I'm going to do a live. But by the time this video is uploaded, I would have already done the live, if you know what I mean. So yeah, thanks everyone anyway, and yeah, I'll see you soon.